Hi, I'm Sharon Penchina. You're about to watch a very important show about how to take advantage of the most important real estate in your office, your waiting room, and how to create one of the largest family practices by using the tools that are a part of the best-selling books that I wrote. You're going to learn how other doctors just like you realize that there's a great opportunity to raise patient awareness of what you do and how important your work and devotion are to the overall health and wellness of their children. You'll also learn why a chiropractic pediatric practice is so important. I'm going to suggest you watch the entire show to get all the gems provided in this show. This show is about your family practice growth through credibility. And if you have any questions, please put them in the comments section below, and I will personally answer each and every one of them. Thank you for watching.
Hi, everybody. Dr. Stu Hoffman from ChiroSecure here with you today. And today we have a special show. I usually don't participate in these shows, but this one is near and dear to my heart. And I have with me Sharon Penchina. A lot of you know Sharon because Sharon has been at so many of the chiropractic events over the years with me and some without me, presenting what she and I created so many years ago at this point that has been incredibly embraced in the chiropractic world and, quite frankly, outside the chiropractic world. We have a series of children's books to empower young children. And I'm going to bring Sharon on to talk about how we even got involved in this in the first place and just get some talking about it, because I think once you hear more about what we've created and what we've accomplished, you'll see how this totally relates to your practice and building a family-oriented practice. And that's what we want for you. So Sharon, welcome to our show. And you and I have worked together for 20 some odd years, and we've worked in different capacities. You've worked for ChiroSecure, but we've also created this company so many years ago that led into creating these award-winning children's books. So will you share with the audience how this even came to be?
Sure. Thank you for inviting me on, Stu. I really appreciate being here and having a chance.
Well, you schedule the shows for ChiroSecure. I just happened to show up, and here we are.
Well, you've given me a beautiful platform, so I want to thank you for that. I just want to say that the Lovable ME books were actually conceived with chiropractors in mind, and mention that we actually began this series of books because a doctor of chiropractic that purchased one of our affirmation CDs told us how much he enjoyed it, encouraged us to create one for kids. And we became so passionate about this, this topic that somehow it evolved into a book series. And I know that you always felt that the books would help elevate doctors in the eyes of their patients if they had quality products in their office, in their waiting room, that they could expose their patients to.
Right. But I want to get a little bit deeper on that, because I think it's a really good story for people to understand the development of this. When you and I had come together on this, it was because I had a lot of offices and a lot of doctors, and I wanted them to do better in practice. And you helped create audio products for the chiropractors to be able to get them into a healing mindset. And from there, the great response that we got, we went on to the next product, which was another audio for chiropractors that was purely based on affirmations, again, to change and support a healing mindset and a success mindset. And we kept going, and we did other products for patients and for the public as well. And it was then that, you're right, someone had said to us, what about the children? And, you and I batted it back and forth, because you said, we have enough products. And I said, no, this is awesome. We need to do this for the kids. And then all of a sudden, one day you email me 1,000,000 affirmations for children. And that was really the starting point of creating all of this. And you're such a perfectionist that people have to understand that a year and a half before we actually finished the first book, we had already had it done and illustrated, but it wasn't good enough for you. So you wanted to find a new illustrator on another continent and rewrite the affirmations, which ultimately became our hallmark book, which is I Am a Lovable Me, Affirmations for Children. And that got such an incredible response that you went on to the other books in the series, which I know we'll get to in a little bit. But I had put them into our own offices, the books, and I want to just talk about how we utilized the books to expand the actual practice and make it something really positive for the doctor and their patients. So Sharon, tell us a little bit about, your vision of expanding the doctor's practice in terms of engaging with more families, because you and I have dealt with that for so long.
I don't know if you want to talk about, the topics in some of these books first, or you want to jump to the slide, which I know you're monitoring with the various tips that we have in getting them marketed in a way that will help the doctor expand their practice. But more importantly, I think, we were hoping that these books, the feel-good feeling that the patients, the pediatric patients, their families and caregivers got from these books would actually be associated with the doctor. So do you want to jump to that first? Do you want to talk about the books?
Yeah, how the doctors, let's talk more general first about what it means, because let me say this. One of the things that I talk about when I do my risk management seminars, and I know we're going to talk about decreased risk, and this is part of it, I always go into what I used to do in my own practice, which is what we do at ChiroSecure. I make laps around this office all day long because I like to engage and know what people are doing, part because I'm a control freak, but part because I like to know and I like to experience. And when I was in practice, every once in a while, I would literally stop in the middle of a busy afternoon and just stop adjusting people, walk out into a full waiting room, sit down, which totally pissed off people because they were already waiting for you. And what the hell am I doing out in the waiting room? And I'd go and sit there with them to experience what it's like to actually wait for me. And I think a lot of doctors don't walk around their own practice to see what actually exists in their waiting room, what people's experiences, whether it be during a busy time or before you even begin. And I find that to be so useful to do because, you don't want to go into a doctor's office that's dirty. You don't want to go into a doctor's office that smells. You don't want to put your head in a doctor's table that is disgusting in the headrest, in the headpiece. So you have to know what other people are experiencing and hold yourself to high standards. And if you want to build a pediatric practice, what I find to be important is to become the authority. And how do you become the authority? You need to talk with authority, with knowledge, but you also have to have products in your office that support that. And that's where these books came in from day one, is having a quality book that people actually love and want to read over and over and over again with their children. And it brings the kids wanting to come back to your office. And the parents love having that there for them. And we'll get into what you can do with it in a little bit. But ultimately, that's what it comes down to. And when we talk about decreasing risk, if you know what's going on and you bring products like this into your practice, well, you'll certainly be that thought leader. And that you can use in so many different ways. But people that like the doctor generally are not people that sue the doctor. And we want to always keep that in mind, because this program is coming from ChiroSecure. And my job is to always decrease your risk. And if you are in your community as a leader and someone that's educating and utilizing good information as a chiropractor, but not coming from just a chiropractic perspective, but one that will actually help these children grow up with positive self-esteem, man, all we hear about is bullying and medications and this and that. Well, our goal and our job and our success has been behind educating children through their parents, through our products, to be able to have a better chance at positive self-esteem. Anything you want to add to that?
I want to just quickly give the audience an idea of, what we're exactly talking about, and not go into it too deeply, because I do want to talk about how they can utilize these books. And this is an idea in general to help build, for practice building and to establish those deeper relationships with their family and pediatric patients. The Lovable Me books deliver the core building blocks for tools to help self-empower children. And for a quick overview, some of the topics we cover are affirmations to help children develop a positive internal dialogue, breathing as a powerful coping mechanism and a way to oxygenate the body, stretching, exercise, good posture. That one's a very chiropractic friendly book, and 3 other books about compassion and diversity, and one that encourages self-love and takes kids on an adventure to discover their own inner peace. So those are some of the topics that we'll be looking at. And of course, when parents are besides bringing their children in for chiropractic adjustment, there's so much that goes on after they leave and so many challenges that they face in their lives. And we want the chiropractor to be supported with these kind of products so that they can pass them along and expose them to their patients in a way that says, I care about you and I'm thinking about the totality of you when you leave the office. So if you want to switch this slide again.
Yeah, it is. And let me just say this about it before we go on.
Sure.
The first book, as I indicated earlier, is all about affirmations. And that's awesome. But remember, we did this with a chiropractic mindset. These are not chiropractic books. Don't be confused. But it comes from a chiropractic mindset. And that's why we went on to, I take a deep breath. Because we want the doctors, first of all, we know how important that is. And we also want the doctors, when they're adjusting these kids, to remind them when they're getting adjusted, remember, take a deep breath, and it all flows together. And when we talk about exercise and stretching and posture, it's all about understanding your body and how important posture is to your health. And, then as Sharon said, we go on to, talking about some other things that are important so that we can educate these children in a fun, colorful, productive way.
So with this slide here, I wanted to emphasize some of those tips that will actually allow the doctors to do not only outreach, but draw patients into their practice. And the 2 line items that I highlighted in red are ones that are actually ones that will bring patients into the office. And I know you and I have worked with a lot of the doctors who have purchased the books over the course of the years, and they've actually given us a lot of these tips to use. So story time at your office is a big one. If you make an announcement and have a regular story time, whether you, the doctor, or your CA is good at that type of thing, you want to invite your patients to invite their friends and other children into the office for story time, because parents are always looking for great things to do, really healthy things to do with their kids during the course of the day or the evening. And if you set up story time, you'll actually draw a lot more of an audience into the practice.
Right. And I want to, add to that in a way.
Okay.
We always had recommended that Saturday morning is a great time, but so are other mornings. Could be a Thursday morning. And with social media, you should be promoting this story time any way and every way that you can, and ask your patients to promote it with and for you. Because the ultimate goal, yes, you want it for your patients, and that's great. It locks them in, they're solid, you're doing a good thing for your patients. But you also want to bring in, as Sharon said, people that aren't yet patients. Now, don't be confused. If you try and suffocate every one of these people that show up in your office to try and suck them in to becoming patients that day, it's never going to happen. You're going to be disappointed. They're never going to want to come in 100 feet of your office. You want to do this as a true public service, because it's going to build credibility for you. And remember, outflow always creates inflow. So the more you do this, and some people will just constantly show up, and never become a patient. But guess what? If they know somebody that in their perception thinks they need a chiropractor, who the heck do you think that they're going to recommend? It's going to be you, because you're going to become that authority, that thought leader in your community, and you're the one doing a service. So it gives mostly moms, but it's not only moms, the ability to take their children to a safe place to have story time, have some little gifts to give out to the kids when they're done, have a raffle for one of the books. A lot of our doctors purchased a series of books to have in their practice, but most of our doctors that start doing these things buy a case at a time, because it's so inexpensive that they give them out to their new children. They give them out at story time to the people that show up and have a raffle. Who's going to get one? They make it for sale for those that don't. And you're still the authority, and people love that. And our doctors report such really incredible stories coming from doing these things.
Mm-hmm. And I think, we've always said, add your label to the back of the book. It becomes your business card.
Right.
What a better business card to give to someone that they're not going to just toss out, and they associate it.
For those of you that buy the books in bulk, to be able to give out and or sell and raffle off or whatever you choose to do with it, we've always taken the position that take an Avery label or take one of your business cards and use good tape to put it into the back sleeve of the book, so that there is a permanent identification. And that way, people will never forget where these books came from. It has your information on it. And every time they read this book, it gives a good feeling, and it always reminds them and associates with you. So this isn't a short-term deal. It's short and long-term. We want that positive effect, and we want you to be that community leader. So, anything else you want to add to that part, Sharon?
No, I think, we have that list there. We can certainly get that.
Let's talk about just a little bit more. Mm-hmm. A lot of our doctors started contributing these books to their local library, to their school libraries. And that's actually made us receive calls from schools around the country that want to buy the rest of the books. And again, it has the doctor's information in the book that you're putting in the library.
And
so
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but sometimes that's the entree into, some locations that they may not have entree into, showing up and, teaching, kids or adults about, exercise, stretching, and that type of thing, bringing a book along and engaging people that way is sometimes the way to gain entree into certain venues.
You're totally right, because anyone that's watching knows what a challenge it could be to get into a school or get into a library or anywhere else to do a chiropractic talk.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is a talk about children. It's not chiropractic. Again, use what you have available and don't blow your opportunity, because if you do this and you do a story time and talk about it, for instance, if you take I take a deep breath and you read that in a library and you start talking about how important breathing is to your health because of what you experience with your patients as a chiropractor, if you don't abuse that, you will be asked back over and over and over again, and people will flock to you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really, really important. So, this does add credibility to you as an individual doctor, but also to your practice. And it just, these books remind these children every evening when they read them, or every morning, or both, of how special and loved that they really are. And I can tell you that Jack Canfield wrote this. We've had awards for being bestseller on Amazon, and certain parent groups that have given us awards for what we've done. Jack Canfield, he wrote Chicken Soup for the Kid's Soul, along with books with Mark Victor Hansen. And we're really blessed to have had such incredible people offer really nice accolades. And at the same time, I go back to a seminar years ago when we first came out with I Am a Lovable Me. And we had this girl come up to our booth who may have been, maybe 8 years old at the time. And she just, without any parents, just sat down, started reading the book. And she was the nicest little girl. And she goes away, but then she comes back with her baby brother. She puts him sitting up in between her legs and pulls out another book and starts reading to him.
Mm-hmm.
These books become a little bit addictive because of the incredible vibrance that they bring and the message, and the kids actually love them. Mm-hmm. So you will find that some of the doctors go even further. This one doctor actually built an adjusting area. She asked our permission, and we said, absolutely, go for it, to take care of their children, patients, in a room that is all Lovable Me. And our lovable bug is an enlightening bug. It enlightens the children, and it all connects together. And these people love being around powerful doctors that still care enough about the kids and can show it in many different ways. And that's what we've created. So, we want you to have these books in your office. We're going to, if you text the word kiddos, and for those of you out there that aren't sure what you're reading, it's KIDDOS, nothing else, to 480-500-6574, and we'll send you a special discount to be able to purchase these books, as well as the transcript. And we'd love you to participate with us, as so many chiropractors, not just in this country, have done, but literally around the world. And, we're proud of what we've put together, but we're really especially proud of what we've been able to do to influence more and more families being in a chiropractic office because of what the doctors have been able to do in utilizing this material to build their pediatric practice. So any final thoughts, Sharon?
I would just say, we'd love to see them in the waiting rooms, because the waiting room is your valuable real estate. That's where everything begins. The moment your patients walk through the door, they're going to assess the office, how professional and well kept it is. They're always influenced by, a warm greeting from your CA. And then when they sit down, it's going to be about quality products that you surround them with. And I think this is one that will help, uplift them and uplift your practice and, help you make a deeper connection with your patients.
And I just want you all to think about, what are the choices in your office? A magazine that's filled with every other page a drug commercial, or something that's uplifting even for the parents? You'll be surprised at how many adults read it, and when you go out and see them reading it, you see nothing but a smile on their face. It's awesome. And we want you to get these books, but not only a set of the books for the practice, although some of you will, and we love that too. But I want you to think about what you can utilize these for in terms of your own marketing. And I want you to think about, different holidays that come up. So many of our practices utilize these during the holidays in December to give away to their families. But some of them utilize it for birthdays, for referrals, for new children that come into the practice. And there's just so many opportunities. Think about how you can use it for your own marketing efforts. So with that, I want to thank you all for being with us for a special edition on our pediatric show today. And I hope that you can offer us some feedback as you utilize these in your practice going forward. And we'll look forward to being with you again the next time. So I want to thank you.